Hi, good morning from Denmark. I am at the rum nerd Gregor's Nielsen's house, and he very kindly has offered me a place to crash while I was in the neighborhood and check. We're drinking rums and attending rum festivals and having a good time with the Danes. Today, though, I do want to speak about a rum that he has in his collection that I also have in mine in Germany, and that's the Bristol Spirits 1974 34-year-old Caroni rum. I mean, this is an old classic. I've reviewed it before, of course. It's review number 162. I intended to get it and review it for the benefit of the gentleman on the PM 1980 who asked me, could you please review some of the old classics on your videos? And I thought, okay, well, this is almost like a perfect one to try or to continue the series with. And I'm glad that I was able to do so because it reminded me of all the reasons that I actually like Caroni. This was one of the first ones that I ever tried, aside from all the Veliers that made the name of the distillery in the last 20 years or so. In brief, this was distilled in 1974, column still, of course. We don't know much more about it. It is at 46%, which was kind of like a sort of quasi-standard in the early 2000s, early 2010s, until the independent movement and the cask strength things started to become much more popular and much more of a thing. I actually do know people who won't dream of touching anything below 60%. Bristol Spirits also does have other Caronis out there. Another one that they did was the 1989 19-year-old, which was actually 43%. I didn't think that was all that great. This one is a step above many of the others that I've tasted in the last while. I don't know if it's heavy, I don't know if it's light, but I wanted to tell you a little bit as much as I could about it. Now, we all know that there are certain markers that we sometimes associate with various rum producing nations. For example, there's a sort of like a banana tangerine flavor to some of the Barbadians. There is the funkiness of the Jamaicans, although Appleton might suggest that that's not always true. The Guyanese have their licorice and their wooden still action going on. Caroni, though, not TDL, but Caroni, tends to have that fusel oil tarry note to it, and that is something that is characteristic of almost all the Caronis I've ever tried. This is no exception. Yeah, when you smell this, that's pretty much the first thing that comes out of the nose at you. It is pungent, it is deep. Even at 46%, it's really quite nice. You do get a lot of crackers, you get some tangerine rind, you get quite a little bit of vanilla. You can't really get away from that. Surprisingly enough, though, it's not very woody. And I've heard that this thing has been aged completely in the tropics. I kind of choose to doubt that. I think at 34 years old, if you don't control your wood really well with something like continental maturation, then tropical is just going to kill it. But that's just a personal opinion, and you may disagree. The fact of the matter is, though, that it smells bloody great. Wow. It dials itself down quite a bit when you taste it. To some extent, the fusel and tarry notes of like a cigarette that you extinguish in a glass of water, or the fresh tar of a road crew doing hot top, is kind of still there, but it does tend to dial itself back quite a bit. And that allows the better aspects of the rum, which is the spices like vanilla and cinnamon. There's definitely a part that suggests that you have pastries, croissants with butter. You've got a faint nuttiness to it, some almonds, crushed walnuts, that kind of thing. But there's also those dark fruits that I like so much, and that really combines well with everything else that you get here. It is a lovely piece of work. Over and above all of that, can you still find that these days? Now, there's only 1,500 bottles of this thing in existence. And of course, this has been on the market for quite a long time. It came out in 2008. And I actually haven't seen that much of it on the secondary sites, and people don't really talk about it very much anymore, which I think is to our detriment. I think it really is quite a good rum. I also think that the price is probably going to be prohibitive. At the time when I bought mine, it was 200 euros, and I really had to think long and hard about that because that's a very steep price even today. Moreover, given its rarity, I would imagine it's going to go for several multiples of that, although I have noticed that since the closing of 2024, rum prices on secondary auctions have really gone down significantly. I saw a 9,000 pound rum selling in September of 2024 that is going for less than 3,000 no more than 4 months later. It gives you an idea of how disjointed the world has become, that people are being so scared to spend their money, which is completely understandable. But you may actually, if this comes up on auction anytime in the near future, then you may actually get a good deal on it if you're prepared to spend some serious coin. Is it worth it? Yes, I do believe it is. Originally, I scored this at 90 points, and I do believe that's still a fair score for what I am tasting today. Yeah, because it's gentle, it's easy enough for sipping work. It has all the Caroni markers that you like. The flavors and the aromas and the finish, they all blend together seamlessly. I think that really this is one of John Barrett's best works from his earlier years. And if you can get it, by all means, give it a shot, even if there are Veliers around there. But Velier's just gone off on these incredible prices now that this doesn't really, it's a great alternative if you want to put it that way. The other thing I wanted to mention is that in my original review, I had a closing note that I really want to repeat here because I liked it so much. And I said, this is the sort of rum that is so good, even for its price, you really want to dive in deep and get it and become a better man just so that you can deserve to drink it. And that's a bit poetic, but I do like the sentiment. And I do believe that if you appreciate your rums, if you like Caronis, if you are into older rums from the early days of the independent bottlings, this is a rum that you can't afford to miss. It really is that good. So that's it for today, and I'd like to thank you very much for watching this, and we will talk again next time. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.